Hello, yogis, and welcome to our Wednesday Connect Restorative class. So for today's practice, you're going to want to have some props available to you. Today, we're going to use a blanket, a couple blocks, and a bolster. And today, our focus is self-reflection. So we are going to dive within ourselves and get really honest with ourselves about how we feel about ourselves, about how we see ourselves, about changes that we'd like to make while we relax and reflect in this restorative practice. My name is Jill Enticknap, and I'm lead trainer and founder of Yogi Institute, an online yoga school and studio. And I am super happy to have you here with me today. So grab your props and let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start on our stomachs, taking your blanket and kind of rolling it up like so, and placing it across the midsection of your mat as you allow your hip points to come down onto that blanket, and stack your palms on top of one another and let your forehead rest down into the mat. Closing down your eyes. And as you come down into your practice, coming down onto your mat, just allowing yourself to sink and settle into your space. Start to ground yourself in, noticing all of the different connection points to the body, the connection points to the floor, and see if there's anywhere that you can soften and let go. So maybe you start to become aware of your breath and allow the exhale to have that natural release in the body. I don't know about you, but it definitely took me a moment to help find this release. Let's start to bring our awareness to our breath as we feel the inhale expand and the exhale release. Feeling the inhale expand and the exhale release. Allowing yourself to sink and settle into this space and into yourself. Start to allow any sensations that you feel to draw you into your body. Taking a scan internally of the different joints, the different sections of the body, and really allowing and giving these sections permission to release and relax. And really allowing for those sensations to help you to connect to your physical self. As you increase your body awareness, maybe you can use the breath to release the body little by little, more and more. Become aware of your thoughts, your mind, noticing where the mind takes you when you come into stillness. Does it take you away from this space, or does it draw you into yourself? That is what today's practice is all about, self-reflection. What I really encourage you to do in this moment is to start to cultivate that kind, compassionate, and encouraging inner voice. It can be so much easier to criticize in our own minds, to criticize ourselves, to judge, to compare. And what I really encourage you to do, especially today on our mats, but always, is choose your thoughts and choose thoughts that are kind, compassionate, and encouraging. Creating and cultivating that inner voice of kindness, compassion, and encouragement. Of course, judgment, criticism will come in, and it does serve a purpose. Sometimes it helps us to define our direction, our identity, what is right for us and what isn't. But there isn't always a place for that critic inner voice. So let's use this time to silence that inner critic and allow ourselves to connect to that gentle voice inside, that voice of unconditional love, that voice of compassion, that voice of knowledge that you've been through tough stuff in your life to become the person that you are. And you can be happy and proud of that person. Even if the path to this space was hard, or maybe it was full of lessons. Let's lift our head and bring our elbows underneath our shoulders, coming into a nice Sphinx pose. And you might feel a little bit more pressure on the hip bones. Let's close down the eyes and lengthen the ears away from the shoulders away from the ears, creating length through the whole front line of the body. Taking a deep breath in and a full breath out. And a deep breath in and a full breath out. Start to walk your hands back towards your body. As you press the mat away, draw your knees together, sink your feet together, sink your hips back to your heels. Maybe take that blanket and place it a little bit more forward so that you can let your forehead rest on the blanket as you reach your hands back toward your feet, finding your rock pose. If your body is really elevated here, there's always the option to take a block underneath your bottom so that your bottom feels supported, so that you can allow yourself to release into this, finding that support in the body. See if you can really allow the shoulders to roll forward. And come back to your breath. Now, for me, keeping the knees really tight together and not using the block actually feels so much better. It allows to release the low back and release the spine, just letting the body sink and settle into the floor. Is there anywhere you can soften in your body and in your mind? in my body. There are places that are full of sensation, like my hip flexors here. I can feel compression through the hip flexors, and there is some discomfort. But rather than judging that discomfort or coming from a negative space, I just use my breath and I communicate with that. And with each exhale, I see if there's anywhere that I can let go a little more, a little more. Our mind is so powerful. It matters what we put in it. And let's bring the hands down onto the floor as you press yourself up. Take a moment, come up onto the knees, and let's shift the hips forward and then sink the hips back to the heels. Shift the hips forward, sink the hips back to the heels. This is similar to a movement that we did yesterday in our kundalini class. But we're just really bringing mobility into the hips and we're lengthening out through those hip flexors. Let's sink it back. Next, we're going to come into a version of a supported fish pose. So let's take our blanket and place it on the mat. This is going to go underneath our bottom for support for the low back. Take one of your blocks on the shortest setting to the top of your mat. Place your other block off to the side and then grab your bolster. And you want some space between the block and the bolster. So the block is where your head is going to be, and you want your bolster to be underneath your chest. So turn yourself around, find that blanket underneath the bottom, underneath the low back. And then let this upper body lower down. So like I said, underneath the chest, that's where you really want that to be. But you want the arms to be able to come between the block and the bolster so that the arms can just really hang out there. Really feel this release through the shoulders. So the bolster is underneath the chest, underneath the chest. Maybe you cactus out your arms and really feel into that release through the chest, or maybe you let your arms tee out, just finding something that feels restorative for you. As you close down your eyes here with this wide open heart. Now, often in order for us to let go of things, to work through things, first we have to be aware. So in this moment, ever so gently and kindly, maybe you identify two things that you really judge yourself for, two things that you are your worst critic, two things that you're really hard on yourself about. And just allow yourself to become aware. What are you really hard on yourself about? Is it where you are in your life? Is it mistakes or decisions that you've made? Is it allegiances? Maybe it's bankruptcy, maybe it's divorce, maybe it's making the decision to not have children. I mean, what is inside of you that you are criticizing or judging yourself about? And just allow yourself to be okay to sit with that, to sit with the awareness, to sit with the thought, to even sit with the pain or the discomfort. And now that you have the awareness of those judgments or those criticisms, those internal judgments and criticisms, I encourage you to consider how those judgments actually might serve you. So if there is something that you've been through that was really difficult and you really beat yourself up, what gifts have come out of that, if any? Maybe it's just about opening the heart and the mind to see the gifts. I believe that everything has a gift, a lesson. Everything has an opposite, yin and yang. And so maybe you can find some aspect of your judgment that actually serves you. Maybe it's something that you never want to do again, or a mistake you never want to make again. Maybe there's shame or guilt. Why? Stay curious about your inner workings. Let's take a moment here and just rock the head from side to side. Let's take a few more rounds of deep breath. As you inhale, feel the chest fill and expand. And feel it release and let go. Take a couple more. Fill and expand. And exhale, let go. Take those arms, reach them up overhead. Wiggle out your fingers. Let's take one hand and reach it forward and the other one back. And switch it out, reaching forward and back. One more time, each direction, reaching forward and back. And reach it forward and back. Slowly, gently start to press yourself up, get nice and tall. Let's take a few rounds of cat-cow. So just round the spine, press the spine back. And then bring the chest forward. And round, press the spine back, roll the shoulders forward. And then arch it and press it back. Keeping the blanket exactly where it is, let's bring the feet together and the knees wide. Grab both of your blocks and let's place the blocks underneath the knees. So get those knees nice and supported. You can bring the blocks in as close as you need to in order to get those knees nice and supported. Let's take our bolster out in front of us. Really sink those sit bones back, lengthen forward, and let's find that bolster to rest our head on. You can let your hands kind of rest around your feet, keeping the spine straight as you hinge forward with the hips. Hinge forward with the spine. I invite you here to close down your eyes. There are the 10 light bodies in Kundalini Yoga. And 3 of those 10 light bodies have to do with the mind. According to this philosophy, there is the positive mind, the negative mind, and the neutral mind. And every one of us have these 3 minds within us. So those criticisms, those judgments, that is a part of the negative mind. But the true purpose of the negative mind is to keep us safe. The true purpose of the negative mind is to create discernment. And often our judgment and our criticism, it's actually a guide helping us to be a better person, to be the version of ourselves that we truly want to be. Anytime we feel guilt, shame, disappointment, that's all pointing us in the direction of who we don't want to be. So we can utilize this judgment, this criticism, to help us become who we want to become. Now, the neutral mind, it's looking for the silver lining. It's looking for the lesson. It's looking for the truth. And the positive mind is looking for whatever positive spin we can put on it. Now, we need all three of these minds to be complete. They all serve a purpose. We don't want to spend all of our time in our positive mind. We don't want to spend all of our time in our negative mind. And we don't even really want to spend all of our time in our neutral mind. We want to employ all three minds to be a complete person, to utilize our mind to the fullest capacity. So let's come back and let's cultivate that kind, compassionate, and encouraging mind by intentionally thinking kind, compassionate, and encouraging thoughts. Let's come back to our breath and imagine that we're breathing in that kindness, that compassion, that encouragement. And then we're breathing it out. Breathing it in and breathing it out. One more, breathe it in and breathe it out. Bring the head back through center. Let's take that bolster and just place it across our mat. Take the blocks out from underneath the knees. Let's plant the hands behind us and take a moment and just really pedal out the legs. One at a time, feel that length. Let the feet come onto the bolster, keeping a little bit of elevation. And let's take a block back underneath our head as we settle into our final resting pose. If for any reason this supported resting pose doesn't feel right in your body, I encourage you to find what does feel right. You don't have to use the props. And then let's bring our hands onto our heart and just take a moment and just really gently tap into the heart. Just kind of tap the hand over the heart, into the heart. And as you breathe in, I invite you to repeat, I embody kindness. On your next inhale, I embody compassion. On your next inhale, I embody encouragement. Let's allow ourselves to continuously feel that within the body, kindness, compassion, encouragement. As we take a few more rounds of breath, I invite you to reflect on where you can invite more outwardly expressed kindness, compassion, and encouragement into your life. I believe that it starts within. It starts with the way that we talk to ourselves. When someone is rude, when someone is unkind, I think to myself, wow, they must have a really dark mind. They must speak to themselves with a lot of unkindness. So it has to start from within. It has to start with the way that we talk to ourselves, cultivating that kindness, that compassion, that encouragement. When we cultivate it within, we can express it outwardly because that is what is in our cup. But I invite you in this moment to just take a moment. Where can you be more kind? Where can you offer more compassion? Where can you express more encouragement in the world around you? This is about awareness. Let it start from within and spill out. Lift your head up if you have that block underneath. Let the head come down onto the floor. Tuck the chin to the chest, creating some nice length through the neck. Draw your knees into your chest. Wrap your hands around your knees. Gently rock from right to left. Maybe you can grab the backs of the legs and rock yourself all the way up into a seated position. Let's press our palms together, tuck our chin to our chest. Taking a moment to be grateful for this time on our mats, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. Knowing that our practice is a space for us to strengthen the relationship between our physical, our mental, and our emotional self. The more aware, the more in alignment we are with these different layers, the more authentic and happy we can be in our lives. I encourage you today and always, spread kindness, compassion, and encouragement into the world within you and around you. The light, the love, the wisdom in me sees, honors, reflects, and encourages the light, the love, the wisdom in you. Namaste. Please feel free to leave a comment, leave feedback, and know that you can share, like, favorite, save this video so that you can come back to it whenever you feel the need or the desire to cultivate more kindness, compassion, and encouragement in your life. I hope to see you again on your mats very, very soon. And until then, may your light be your guide.